Hello, Tim here, and welcome to another of my painting critique videos. In this video, I'll be reviewing paintings from my attendees of my October workshop where we painted this river scene in Looe in Cornwall. In this video, I'll be offering constructive feedback on each of the attendees' paintings, and my critiques are based on my own perspective. I'll be highlighting the aspects I admire most about each piece, and I'll also suggest a small tweak or improvement just to help refine your skills even further. Remember, we're all here to learn and grow together, so please bear in mind that as we see the attendees' paintings, the colour and lighting in the photos may not be exactly correct because everyone's got different cameras and different lighting conditions. Now, you don't need to paint in my style. It's really interesting to see everyone's interpretation of the same scene, and the workshops are open to painters of all levels, beginners and advanced. Everyone is welcome. If you want to take part in future events, then please go to my event site, which is crowdcast.io/@Tim Wilmot, TIMWILMOT. There you'll see this workshop, which you can still do, and all the previous ones. This is what we painted then. This is the East Looe River in Cornwall, just as the river enters the town and then goes out to sea. A Contre Jour scene. We're talking about composition from a photo and also trying to get depth into the scene with those distant hills there. We have, let me just give you some orientation. So there's the river coming down, flowing from right to left. This is low tide. It's a sort of tidal estuary creek. In the middle of the scene, we've got a kind of flat car park. There is a small lake in there, like a raised lake, sort of like a boating pond or something like that. Then all of these small craft moored up here, low tide, different boat shapes to deal with, leaning and angled, different directions. From a composition point of view, there might be a few things that you would, if you were painting this scene, that you might leave out. For example, I chose to leave out this boat here in a cradle, this kind of rope thing coming in from the right-hand side. There's a boat, an inflatable here down the bottom, in the middle, partially on the scene, left that one out as well. I changed the actual shape of the seaweed, this near side of the river where I took the photo from. I'll show you my demo painting shortly. So we're talking about composition, getting in depth. We're talking about trying to capture the light as well. This is a Contre Jour scene. Photo was taken late afternoon, early evening. Lots of light versus dark, silhouetted shapes as well, trying to capture that light. We've got reflections of those boats. As I say, we've got different boat shapes, but we've got the reflections of those boats. We've got a little bit of light there, glistening on the surface. We've got the different woods, the trees on the left-hand side, then a thick wood on the right-hand side and those distant hills, trying to paint convincing woods, both in the distance there and also in the middle ground. So what I'm going to look for as I go through the different attendees' paintings is, or are, composition from my photo. And everyone followed me on my live demo. I should say these workshops, they are delivered as a live demo from me, typically over a couple of hours, where I go through at length the source photo, as I'm doing here with you, and then I dive into the painting proper, the complete whole process, step by step, with initial drawing and then all the various stages, processes of watercolor painting, and then a little bit of a critique at the end. And also in the live demo, different attendees can come on screen as well, and a number of attendees do paint along with me, and they're kind enough to share their sketches or paintings to the audience. So it's quite interesting to see that at the end. So what other things I'm looking for? We've got to paint some convincing boat shapes. As I say, we've got all sorts of different boat shapes there, leaning at different angles there at low tide. Values, lights and darks in the scene. Those woods, depicting those woods in watercolor, and those reflections as well, convincing reflections. And finally, trying to be creative. It's always interesting to, as I said earlier, trying to see everyone's different interpretation of the same scene and different watercolor techniques as well. So it'd be good to see if anyone really does change quite a few things in the painting to be artistic, to be creative in their own particular style. So first up, my painting then from the live demo. On the whole, I'm fairly happy with the outcome. I think I've got the composition about right, a nice balance of the placement of those boats, the position of the middle ground there, the light hitting the top of the raised car park and the pond, trying to get the sense of depth with those distant hills going cooler. With the greens and the cooler with the shadows as well, this side of that wood. Then the woods coming closer to us, the woods left and right. Those various boats and craft lean at angle, particularly pleased with the red boat there and this boat leaning a little bit more, and the reflections. I included a couple of seabirds there, creating a little bit of disturbance in the water, and then changing the shape of the near side bank as well with the pattern of these lines here, trying to sort of lead you in to the scene, and little details like the light on the water. I detect a little bit of some splodges of yellow in that light, so I put that in there, but that light in the middle there, and also the seaweed hanging from that mooring rope. So just little details like that. So that's mine then. Let's go through the attendee paintings one by one. First up then, Amy, and nice composition. With the placement of boats, we've certainly got the depth in there, Amy, with the coolness of those background hills. They've come out well. Also, the way that you create those woods. Perhaps we could have got a little bit of a harder edge at the bottom of those woods on the right-hand side, just to give the feeling of where it meets the little bit of a river that goes around the corner there. The boats are very good indeed. I particularly like the leaning one here. That's come out really well. I think your photo might be, is your photo a little bit out of focus? Possibly. I bet your painting is a lot sharper than this. I like the birds as well, really good. The reflection of the sky is really good. Perhaps that boat reflection there could be a little bit larger, a little bit deeper. Yeah, lovely painting. Well done, Amy. And Andrew, nice composition. I think the horizon could be a little bit higher, possibly. Now, you've gone quite dark with this one, which is all right, but those distant hills there, they would be pushed further back if they were a little bit lighter and a little bit cooler. Coming forwards, we've got the hills left and right. They're okay. Lovely bit of light hitting the middle there. The boats have come out right as well. Pretty good boats. With the tops of the boats, I think you could, well, avoid using white paint too much. Try and use the white paper as much as possible to get those bigger, bolder lighter areas. So just ease off on the white paint a little bit, and some of the white paint here might be a little bit weak when you applied it, so you get that sort of milky sort of effect to it, and that light border around the shape as it dries. So just ease off on the white paint. Love the reflection of the sky. Yeah, well done. Thanks very much, Andrew. Anna. This comes over as a lovely, bold, clear, bright watercolor. Good reflection. Good reflection. I was going to say good composition, good sense of depth. You've sneaked in that really distant hill. So we've got a distant one there, then that coming closer to us. We've got this one here. Then left and right, those closer ones. The light hitting the middle. I like the way that you've captured which is what I try to do in my painting. The light of the boats against that darker harbour wall, the retaining wall of the harbour there, the raised area. So nice contrast of light and dark. I like the brush marks and the directions, sort of that angular, just a slight angular direction of those. The boats have come out really well, particularly this red one and this one. Not so sure about that one. That one looks like it's angling down a little bit. Maybe that one, because we are looking down on the scene a little bit. So if the front of the boat was there, we've got this side, maybe we've got a little bit more like that shape. So we can just see, and then we got the cabin as well, something like that. So we can see a little bit more inside that boat. Yeah, good colour, those greens. Yeah, well done, Amy. Oh, sorry, Anna. Thank you very much indeed. And Barb on her lovely handmade watercolour paper, as you can see, look, beautiful edge to that. Good composition. We've got the sense of depth, maybe with the hills coming left and right, coming closer to us. Could have gone a little bit more vibrant with the greens there, just to bring them a little bit closer to us. I do like your brush marks. I presume you might have used a flat brush there, but those brush marks are brilliant, creating the form of those trees. Then the raised area in the middle, which is actually a sort of car park and a little mill pond, a little pond as well. That's come out very well. The boats, you've got quite larger with the boats, particularly those couple there in the foreground. That's come out very well also. Nice light in the middle. Good green, the seaweed there, the shape of that seaweed coming into the centre of the scene. Yeah, really good job on those boats. Well done, Barb. And Ben. Nice composition. Okay, now depth. Well, we've got that with the distant hills, but the hills coming closer to us left and right. Yes, that's a sort of, we're close to the sort of green we want there. Maybe you could have gone the shady areas of that wood on the left there, Ben. You could have gone a bit darker. And similarly on the right-hand side, going with a stronger green on that right-hand side, because it's sort of a similar cool green as you've got to the background hills. So we want to try and bring this area here, that wood there, closer to us. The boats have come out okay. Yeah, the boats look good to me. Could have gone a little bit stronger with the green of the seaweed. Reflections good. Nice bit of splattering in the foreground here. And I can see that Ben hasn't removed the tape. If we can imagine that Ben's removed this tape around the outside, we get a nice crisp white edge to that. Perhaps we've got a lot of sort of empty areas. Maybe those boats could have been just a little bit larger, Ben, so that they're not sort of lost in the composition. I think if those boats, that red boat there, this boat here leaning, if they were just a little bit bigger, that would fill in that space a bit more. Yeah, well done, Ben. Thank you very much indeed. And Bob. Beautiful painting, nice composition. I think yours is fairly close to my my take on the scene. Those boats are really good. Yeah, really nice boats, Bob. That leaning one there. The trio boats there. That one, that one, that one. Brilliant. Nice composition. We've got the sense of depth. Maybe those background hills could be just a little bit lighter, just a little bit cooler, just to push them back a little bit more. But certainly they do look further back than the woods left and right. Nice reflections of those boats as well. Lovely light in the middle here. Good shape of the seaweed. Actually, your seaweed's come out a lot better than mine. That shape. You've got a little bit more. Got a little bit more of that seaweed, just a little bit more, and you haven't gone so over the top green like I did. Yeah, it's really good, Bob. Well done. Particularly like your boats. Great boats. Right, Buck. Okay, we've gone vertical with this one, and that works really well. You don't have to go landscape format necessarily. The vertical format would work equally as well. I love that sky. That's a very atmospheric sky. Zoom into that a little bit more. Yeah, beautiful sky. I like the angle of the clouds as well, as we had in the source photo. That's come out really well. Now, background hills. I think those background hills, the edges, of course, we talk about edges in watercolor, hard and soft edges. The hard edge, right, but maybe if we could have a little bit of a softer edge, for example, this tree here, all right? So we got the hard edge at the bottom where it's just behind, it's just tucked behind that tree there. But as the tree is going over to the light, try and get a softer edge there, I reckon, but that would look a little bit better. But the woods, left and right coming towards it, they are brilliant. I love those trees. They're excellent. We've got those soft edges there, you see, as the shadow is gradually going around the tree, coming into the light. Look, lovely light there. The dark's just perfect, cool darks, particularly nice on that right-hand side. The harbour wall here, catching the light, contrast, pushing the contrast of the light there against the dark of the right-hand trees. Let's look at the boats. Yeah, I like those boats. It's nice just to have a sort of odd number. So 3 smaller boats in the distance and then these 2 larger boats in the foreground. Nice reflections to those boats as well. Yeah, brilliant. Well done for going vertical on that one, Buck. Certainly very creative with that one. Right, Kathy. Good composition. I think some of the middle boats, I'll come back to the boats. Right, depth. Could we have gone softer with those trees in the distance there, Kathy? Maybe if we, like these lighter areas here, maybe with a damp synthetic brush, just kind of tease around, just soften those edges a little bit. I reckon these harder edges then would go softer, and that would, let me just come back out, that would then change that whole area there. Just try and push it back a little bit more. We've got it there. That little sort of, that very distant hill there, that's perfect. Nice woods left and right. Could have gone a little bit more vibrant with the green on the left. I like the loose brush marks for the harbour wall. Not sure these boats are ultra convincing in the middle ground here. They're kind of lost a little bit. I would say, now that boat there, that boat looks good. Maybe try and get some harder edges on those boats, I reckon. Boats in the foreground are very good, particularly, Kathy, this one here. That's a lovely boat. You've put a little bit more detail on that one. I think again, try and think about, as I pointed out before, trying to think about light against dark. So that top of that cabin and the top of the boat there, maybe little bits of the boat behind the cabin, could be just white paper, and then bring up some darks, bring in that seaweed from the right-hand side, or some darker reflections of those trees, just to butt up against that lightness that you've created, just to give us those contrasts. Nice reflections though. Yep, I do like that boat there. Well done, Kathy. And Ching. Nice composition, very bold, lovely colours. I do like that sky. That's a fantastic sky. The distant hills, yes, I reckon we've got the sense of depth there. Maybe could be just a little bit bluer with the shadows, Ching, in the distant hills, just to push it back even more. The hills in the middle, left and right, brilliant, love it, really good. Coming closer towards us, we've got these small boats here nestled up against the bottom of the harbour. Maybe they're just a little bit too large and too close together. I think if they were smaller shapes there, that one there's okay. This one is sort of okay, but these boats along there, just a little bit, the lighter areas, just a little bit too large. Now, coming closer to us, these boats are really good. I like them. I like your birds. They almost look like swans in a way, which you would get down there. Lovely seaweed coming in, that lovely reflections. Yeah, well done, Ching. Particularly like that sky, though. Fantastic. And Christy, we have another vertical format. And I know Christy likes her almost line and wash with some of the darker pen-like marks there. So it's almost line and wash. Yeah, nice composition. I think you've moved the horizon up a little bit. So we've just got a tiny bit of that sky. Got a good sense of depth there. Not so sure about this triangular tree there. I know what you're trying to do, create a bit of a focal point. Not so sure if that dark line above it helps. Actually, having said that, I do like the dark edge to those trees that are sort of bobbing above the top of the harbour wall. Coming towards us, boats in the middle ground. Really nice, different angles, different shapes. That works really well. And then the two boats closer to us, let me just come out a little bit more. Those two boats there, fantastic. I think the star of the show here is the shape that you've got of this seaweed. You're closer to the source photo, and yeah, we've got more of a feeling of the flow of the river here. As I think I said at the beginning, the river is flowing from right to left. And we've certainly got, with the shape of Christie's seaweed there, we've certainly got the feeling of that seaweed sort of flowing down, just ribbons of that seaweed that's pointing down river. Yeah, really nice, Christy, well done. And Colin. Good composition. Got the sense of depth. With your dark shadows in the trees, left and right, maybe try and get that softer edge, like I've said with a few other people. Try and get that softer edge and the feeling of individual trees as well a little bit more. So maybe not these sort of bands of darkness there, Colin, trying to get in a bit of a softer edge and just patches of green light. I think the right-hand side is a bit more convincing. I actually quite like the style of your woods as well. You've laid down how many layers? 1, 2, 3 with the darks. It's bold, but I think it would look better in my mind if you just had a few softer edges in there. Really good boats. Fantastic boats. This one here could be a little bit bigger, Colin. That one's good. Nice reflections. We've got the soft light there of the reflection of the sun and the seaweed coming in, drawing us into the scene. Yeah, a lovely, bold, bright watercolour. Well done. And David D. I think we've got a couple of Davids. Right. Good composition. I think we've got the sense of depth. You've got a lot of atmosphere in this. The top half of the picture looks like more of an atmospheric sky. So well done with that. We've got a lot of middle values here. I think we could have pushed the colour a little bit, David, and also a little bit go in with a few more darks in the scene as well, particularly on that left-hand side, I reckon, where we've got the darkness of the shadows within the trees and the darkness of that harbour wall. So you could have gone a little bit darker with that harbour wall. That would give us more contrast with some of the light hitting the tops of those boats. The boats are all right. That left-hand boat there looks good. Just watch with the perspective of the cabin. Now you've done well with that cabin there, but this one here looks like it's at a sort of angle. So assuming that that's the boat shape itself, then the cabin. So cabin could be more like this. And excuse me, my drawing skills with my mouse may not be too good. But do you see, trying to get the back of the cabin there, the front of the cabin there, the distant edge, the nearby edge, and then we can bung in a window there. Do you see that looks? That might look. Hopefully you can see that. That might look like a better boat. Reflections could be a little bit deeper as well. So the reflections could come down sort of here a little bit more, a little bit deeper with those reflections. I wouldn't have put in that boat there. It's a bit distracting having that shape. I know you're trying to get in that inflatable that's down there in the middle, but I just don't think it works from a composition point of view. This painting, your painting, will look better if that was missing. But well done. I do like that sky. It's a lovely moody sky. Well done, David. And then we got the next David J. Let's zoom into that one. Yeah, I like it. I particularly like the top half of this scene. The composition, the overall composition is very good. Very loose style with the way that you've done the hills. I like you've used a slightly different technique to me. Maybe you've probably spent a little bit more time on that background and those middle ground hills left and right. They've come out really well. I like that line there and the line here. So those background hills, they look a little bit taller, a little bit higher than they are in reality, but it works. The trees left and right, superb. I like this orange thing here going on. Works really well. The darkness of the harbour wall, these boat shapes, brilliant. Lovely loose boat shapes. Perhaps it could have gone a little bit darker at the bottom of those boats there, David, just to try and get in a bit more of that shadow to connect those boats with the harbour bed. The nearby boats have come out really well. Love the water as well. Bit of movement in that water. Yeah, a nice loose watercolour. Super sky. Well done, David. And Deborah. Good composition. Like the sky, those lighter clouds there. Perhaps with some of those clouds we could get in a softer edge. Now, with the distant hills, they could have been a bit cooler. I think the greenery that you've got for the woods left and right, they work all right. But if we'd have gone a little bit lighter, cooler with those distant hills, then this tree here would have stood out a little bit more. That funny cone shaped tree there. Boats have come out really well. Lovely boats. Perhaps these two boats here could be just a tiny bit larger. And well done with the duck there, going out to sea. Nice reflection. You've got in that, like Christy did, that rope or tethering that's got that sort of hoop shape. That's come out really well. Yeah, I like it. I particularly like that sky. Well done, Deborah. And Diane. Bold, crisp, bright watercolour, nice composition, lovely sky. Yeah, we got the sense of depth there of the distant hills. Maybe it could be just a tiny bit lighter with those distant hills, but they work well. They're cool. Got a cool green there. Look at the blue there. Also hard and soft edge as well. We could reach out and touch and feel those individual trees there. The middle ground trees, yes, they're working well. The boats are very good indeed. Your boats are super. Particularly that one there, this one, that one there as well. Not so sure about the top of the cabin on that one. It looks like we're looking down a little bit too much on that. Be careful with too much detail in the middle ground. Maybe this is a children's swing or something like that. I don't think it needs that level of detail there in the middle ground. Lovely light in the middle, reflections, lovely reflection of the sky. Yeah, thanks very much, Diane. And Dina, good composition, good sense of depth. Perhaps the top of that distant hill could be just a little bit softer. And also maybe that little bit of light there, actually remove that so that we've got a little bit less of that dark. There's a slightly darker edge there, and I just think that brings it a little bit closer forward. So try and get softer. But overall, those distant hills there, brilliant. I love the watercolor effect. Look at all that granulation. That's beautiful. You've got in a distant building. That works well. Could be a little sort of cottage or something like that, nestling in the valley. Those trees left and right are brilliant. Very good indeed. Particularly on that left-hand side, they've got a lot of impact. Could be darker, a little bit darker with the harbour wall. That would give us the more enhanced contrasts of the light of the cabins against the dark wall. The boats in the middle have come out really well. Yeah, excellent. This right-hand boat here, yeah, so it does have a little bit of a darker shape in the source photo, doesn't it? That darker shape there. Yeah, not so. Looks at just a little bit too. The boat looks a little bit too wide to be just a tiny bit. But overall, the boats are fantastic, and good reflections as well. The reflections of the sky, very good as also. Yeah, well done, Dina. Super. I do like that granulation in there. Very nice indeed. Right, on to the next one. And Eduardo. I love the colours in this one. I think it's almost like a pastel painting. Of course, it's watercolour, but I like the effect that you've got here. It's a nice style. I like that bright red there of that left-hand boat, and the blue that you've put into that harbour wall. I love that blue. That's like a very strong cobalt blue to me. Comes out really well. Right, good composition. Good sense of depth with the background hills. Not so sure it works. We got is that a pencil line, Eduardo? I think that distant hill would look better without that pencil line. So maybe have a harder pencil or a do a sort of dotted line if you want to draw in the outline for your help in knowing where the top of that distant hill is. Yeah, just lose that line there. The softness that you've got in these nearby, these middle ground hills is beautiful. That edge there, where that we've got the skyline of the woods, and then we're going into the sky. Very nice indeed. The loose way that you've done the boats. So that boat there, love it. Not so sure about this boat. I think that boat there would look a little bit better if we had a bit of light. We've sort of lost the cabin of that one, or maybe a bit of light on the top of the hull. We don't have the light in the middle, but we don't necessarily need it. I love all the colours, beautiful colours going on in here. There's those darker, cooler reds in there, these turquoise and cobalt greens in there, browns and reds in the foreground. Yeah, very nice. Thanks, Eduardo. Elizabeth, nice composition. Got the sense of depth. That green there that cool green there for the distant hills, beautiful. Think those edges though, Elizabeth, are just a little bit too hard. All right, try and go a bit softer. Where it's worked a little bit better is there. You've got a slightly softer edge there, I guess because the shadow is a little bit lighter. So add a little bit of blue into those distant shadows and try and go softer as well, either painting onto a damper surface or teasing out the top edge of those shadows, just so that we're going a little bit softer as it goes towards the sun. Middle woods, left and right, yeah, very good. Could have a little bit more light on the top of the harbour wall here, just to get that contrast, nice darkness with the harbour wall. The boats have come out really well, lots of boats. That top of that cabin there is brilliant. Almost there's a sort of twinkle on the top of that boat, like it's really shining. Yeah, that is. I love that top of that cabin there. Boats look all right, particularly that right-hand boat. This one here looks a little bit sort of short. I think it could be just a tiny bit longer. Reflections of the sky in the sea, very good indeed. Could be a little bit thicker with the greenery. You've gone a bit sort of weak with the paint here. In the foreground, could be a little bit thicker. Yeah, a lovely scene. Well done, Elizabeth. And Helen, nice composition. We've got a good sense of depth. You've gone a bit more sort of rugged with your background hills. I think that works really, really well. The middle ground woods could be a little bit brighter with the green, more vibrant with the green, particularly on that right-hand side there, Helen, just a little bit more vibrant with the green, all right? We've got the middle ground harbour wall well, good boats in that middle ground. The boats here in the foreground, yes, they're all right. Maybe try and get a little bit more detail into them and try and make them maybe a little bit longer. Make those boats a little bit longer. They look like they're a little bit too short. That boat there is a very complicated boat, that one, but you've done well with the sort of wood, the top of the cabin. That boat's turned out really well, the light against the distant banks. Good reflections as well. Yeah, well done, Helen. And Isabel. Very nice indeed. Lovely composition. I think the star of the show here is your sky and those distant hills. You've gone in for for a lot of soft edges over there. That works really well. And the shape of those clouds, the angle of those clouds, brilliant. Certainly gives the feeling of a bright, summery day. Good boats as well, nicely drawn boats, particularly these foreground boats. Loads of boats in the middle ground, lovely bright green for the middle ground as well. Couple of ducks having fun in the middle there. It's a super painting as well, particularly like your background. That is really nice. Yeah, you spend a bit. I reckon you spent a bit of time on that background, and it's paid off. That works really well. That sort of bright green there, and these darker, softer cloud shapes around it. Brilliant. And Jean, nice composition. Good feeling of depth with those distant hills. The middle ground woods, they've come out really well. Perhaps we could have just a tiny bit more light there hitting the top of the harbour wall. Boats are brilliant. They're really good. Particularly these foreground boats, excellent. Just be careful not to overwork some of the boats a little bit too much, but the boats have come out really well. Good reflection of the sky as well in the river. With this foreground seaweed, just thinking about the shape of these marks coming in, I think it works on the right-hand side. Just be careful of not overdoing it too much. And then in that bottom left-hand corner, maybe there could be sort of like another shape sort of coming in like that. So we've got more of that sort of fan shape, that radiating pattern of seaweed. But a lovely watercolor, really well done with those woods. They're brilliant. Very, very nice indeed. Yeah, well done, Jean. And Jim, nice composition. We've got the sense of depth with the coolness of those greens. I just think we've gone a little bit too, maybe a tiny bit too dark with the shadows in those trees in the distance. And maybe if we had some softer edges, Jim, to the shadow shapes. Well, you've tried to do it, but maybe just a little bit more of a softer edge on those shadows, I think would work. Like you've got here on these middle ground trees, that works better. So middle ground trees really good, but again, it would help with just a few more softer edges in there. Lovely light on the harbour wall. Boats are very good. Like the way that you've brought that red boat up there closer to this darker reflection, just to try and use that contrast a little bit more. This cabin here could be a tiny bit darker that's facing us, just to give us a feeling of the greater light on the top of that cabin. I wouldn't draw in the edge of those reflections. Try and use your brush, use your darker shadow color to create the edge of those reflections. So I think it's just a little bit distracting having that kind of darker edge to those shadows. Could the reflections. There could be a bit of a reflection on that rope as well. Nice light in the water reflecting the sky. That boat's come out really well. That's a lovely light contrasting boat against the darker background. Yeah, you got the light there really well. Thanks so much, Jim. And Joe, let's just zoom into that one a bit. Nice composition. Good sense of depth. Love the sky. That sky is beautiful with the blue and that sort of warmth that you've got in the clouds just there, Joe, and that one there. Soft edge, nice soft edge to the background hills. The Middle ground hills, yeah, they worked okay. I think there could be just a little bit more of a more vibrant green and possibly some darker shadows in there in those as well, Joe, on the left hand side and the right hand side, just at the base, particularly at the base of these woods there, just where it meets a lighter area, the harbour wall and the creek just going around to the left. Boats are very good, particularly like the red boat. You've actually moved this one a little bit more angular, so it's sort of in that orientation rather than that orientation. That has worked well. Nice light in the middle. Again, you've sneaked in those warms, the warms there and the cools. Yeah, I just think it would work a bit better with some darker, just some darker values, darker shadows in there. But I do like the background hills and your sky, Joe. Excellent. Thank you, Joe. And June, excuse me, June. Nice composition. I like all these marks here. These little white marks here. Creates a lot of movement and atmosphere in it. Something going on. Could be bits of masts or boats catching the light, stones, seabirds. Yeah, really nice. So, sky. I love that sky. Really nice background hills. Again, we could have been a little bit softer with some of those edges. Middle hills. Yes, love the hills on the left-hand side. The right-hand side could be a little bit greener, could be a little bit more saturated in colour, just to bring it a little bit closer to us. Your boats are very good indeed. Lovely boats. The leaning boat there, that's come out well. The boat here, the reflections could be just a little bit longer, possibly on this red boat. And then the reflections in the water, very good as well. I do like that sky though. That's a fantastic sky. And those little shards of light there with a hard edge around them, very effective. Yeah, and these white marks as well. They're almost sort of like got a sort of angle to some of those marks. Yeah, excellent. Well done, June. And Larry. Oh, now, Larry, you've made more of a feature of the sky, haven't you, in this one? So composition, yeah, it's sort of all right. You've changed it a lot. Like the sky. With the hills, I'm not sure if you used a little bit of white paint or a little bit too much of the white watercolor or white gouache, something like that. It's actually quite a nice effect. I think it's worked more on the left-hand side. In the middle there, it looks a little bit too sort of chalky or milky. The right-hand side, that's worked well. The harbour wall, yes, very good. With your sky's taking up about a third of the composition. I reckon a better balance of those boats would be to miss out the red boat here and that boat. They're really good boats, Larry, but I personally wouldn't bother having them. And maybe don't bother with the foreground shoreline as well. So we just got kind of the river here coming down to the bottom of the composition. And yeah, missing out all this bottom bit, I think that would look better. Yeah, again, well done for being creative on this one. I like it. Yeah, well done, Larry. And Laurie. Good composition. Lovely sky. You've got a lot of movement in those hills. You've got, again, you've got a bit more of a sort of rugged feeling to those distant hills, particularly the distant ones and the ones on the left. Just the right value. Lovely soft edges. I like the little bit of burnt sienna creeping in there. Nice touch. Yeah, so really good background hills. the middle ground hills as well. You've got a little bit of a curve, which I quite like, by the way. You've got a bit of a tiny bit of a curve appearing there. I'm not sure if that was your intention, but I quite like it. Yeah, the boats, they've turned out really well. I like this one here. Bit of lightness. Maybe you took the photo when the paint was maybe a little bit wet, possibly, but it works really well. Love that boat there, and the other boats as well. These two boats, yes, they're all right. You haven't gone with the red, have you, with that one? So you've gone a bit more bluish with this left-hand boat. This one here, I'm not sure if this is the front. Well, obviously this is the back of the boat. That should be the front. Maybe with the cabin, we could be a little bit more, make the top of the cabin stand out just a little bit more. So that being the cabin, and then the pointy bit at the front, something like that. If you see what I mean, Laurie, on that one. Nice reflections though of those boats. Beautiful light in the middle. Nice seaweed. But I do like those background hills. Yeah, very effective. The technique that you use there, just right. Thanks, Laurie. And Leslie. Nice composition, nicely mounted as well. Or double mount, extra special. Thank you. Good. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Good background hills. Just be careful of putting in a little bit of too much detail with the brush work on those background hills. Maybe you use too small a brush, possibly, for those background hills. But we've got the right value in that cool green as well. Nice hills, left and right, particularly on the left. They are very nice indeed. Good harbour wall. Could be a little bit darker with that harbour wall. Lovely boats as well. Now, placement of those middle boats. The boats look good. Perhaps the hull could be just a little bit deeper with the red boat. I like the leaning boat here. The position of it. Would that boat look better? That's a superb boat, by the way. But would that boat look better if it was more in that area there? So just moving it up just a tiny bit to a bit higher and a bit more to the right. Putting that aside, lovely reflections of the sea, could be a little bit deeper with the reflections, and the reflections of this boat here, I think, could be made a little bit more solid, all right, and a little bit deeper as well. So the boat reflections would come out sort of somewhere like that. Bring it down a little bit more. Nice one, Leslie, thank you. And Liliana. Right, so good composition. I like your sky as well, the way that you've done the sky with that dry brush mark, haven't mucked about with it, nice and fresh. Good background hills, could be a little bit cooler with those background hills. Lovely hills though, left and right, particularly on that left-hand side. Your boats are very good indeed. Yeah, really nice boats. This boat in the middle here, catching the light, my eyes go to that one quite a lot. And I think that boat is right in the middle. I always bother about something that stands out right in the middle of a composition. I think if that one was maybe a little bit, well, if those windows were a little bit darker, perhaps that might sort of soften it a little bit. But all the boats are really good, nice boats, particularly that red boat there. Good reflections, lovely light, reflected sky. Yeah, very nice painting. Well done, Liliana. Lynn, nice composition. good background hills. That you've got more of a sort of mountain in a way with that background hill. But I think it works really well. I love that. That is, and again, we've got granulation happening there. Slightly warmish top. Yeah, that's really good. Like it. Good woods left and right. Again, you've gone for that similar sort of style that you've done that background hill. Very sort of transparent washes on top of each other. Very effective. The light on top of the harbour wall, good. Boats are good, yes. Perhaps with the boats here, perhaps the cabin here might be just a tiny bit too high, but I do like the lights you've got on top of that cabin. Just as an extra touch, if that's pencil line there, Lynn, I often forget to do this on my own paintings, maybe just rub those out at the end of the painting when everything's dry, just to get that crisp edge back again. That can give it a little bit more impact. This boat here might be just a little bit too short. I'm not sure if that one, if that one went out to sea, it might topple over a little bit. Lovely reflection in the middle here, sparkles on the water. Yeah, very nice indeed. Yeah, I particularly like those background hills. Well done, Lynn. And Margaret. Nice composition. I think your photo, the photo you took, I reckon this is a little bit dark. I bet your painting is a little bit brighter than this, but this is a super watercolor. I like it. We've got more of a feeling of the viewer being a little bit more to the left and sort of looking over to the right a bit more, if you see what I mean. I like the angle that you've got these boats. Very nice composition. We've got the sense of depth as well. The two background mountains and the near mountain. Maybe you could have gone a little bit more vibrant with the greens on the middle ground hills. Star of the shows, though, are those boats. They are excellent boats. Nice darkness on the left-hand side and a sort of soft transition to the light in the middle. Nice shape of very creative with that shape of the seaweed coming out and warmth here, light there. Yes, excellent watercolor and very creative with the composition as well. Well done, Margaret. Mark, I think this is Mark's sketchbook version, hence the line down the middle, so left page, right page. Yeah. This has got a lot of atmosphere. I think your splattering works, Mark, and the splattering together with these lines here, those little lines that you've got, those darker lines, they're kind of bringing the eye into that central area there. So nice composition. The background hills could be a little bit cooler. Or getting some softer edges, okay, on those shadowy bits. Hills, left and right, they've come out okay. Perhaps the bottom edge of those hills there could be a little bit straighter. Dark, get a nice sort of contrast between the darkness of the woods and then the light of the river coming out here. Boats have come out okay. I think these ones in the middle are a little bit too small. That boat's turned out all right. Got the light of the cabin. We've got the angle of the boat as well, which is always quite difficult to do. This boat here on the left could be a tiny bit larger, a bit bigger. Could help with some maybe some more whiter shapes, boats in that area there, Mark. But yeah, excellent. Well done. Nydia. Excuse me, Nydia. Nice composition. We've got we've got a sort of more of a panoramic view of the scene here, wider dimensions to the paper. Lovely sky, good sense of depth. I like the way that you've done those background hills with that kind of brush mark there. These brush marks at different angles. Look at that. very nice. Yeah, excellent. The woods left and right, brilliant. Oh, I love this. That lighter shape there with a soft edge to it. That one there. That one there. The light hitting these trees as well. Boats are very good indeed. Yes, excellent boats, particularly the red boat there. Then the foreground seaweed, yes, that looks all right to me as a shape. Perhaps with the harbour, the top of the harbour wall, maybe a more horizontal line there. It's all right getting a little bit of sort of quirky bumps in them, but we're going up we're going up just a little bit too much on the left. I reckon we'd have more of an impact if we had a sort of horizontal top light edge to that. But lovely painting, Nydia, well done. And Paul, I think that's pronunciation. Paul, a beautiful square dimension scene. Let me just zoom into this. I like the style. We've got a lot of sort of middle values here. Not a lot of lights, not a lot of darks, but it works. We've got the sense of depth, the softness of the shapes as well. It's a beautiful style. That's very eye-catching, that line there, the top of the harbour wall. And then these little sparkles in the middle area as well. So we're missing out the lights on top of the boats, which I don't know. Does that matter? I don't know. And some of the darks as well. Some of the darks on that left-hand side and the right-hand side. But as a painting, let me just zoom in a bit more. As a painting, it's fantastic. Good boat shapes as well. Lovely, Paul. Thank you. And Robbie. Yeah, I like it. A different style again. A little bit like Christie's line and wash, a little bit, her style. I do like that sky. That's a lovely sky. That hard edge there. I mean, this is just what watercolour does. You've done it once, Robbie, and you just kind of left it, and that's a beautiful sky. And the colours that you've got in there, the light red or pinkish light red, this blue, the little bit of the greenery of the background hills just merging in with that sky. Very nice. The background hills could be just a little bit cooler, I reckon, just to push them back a bit more. And perhaps not so much detail, these darker, greener shapes here. Maybe if you didn't have those in there, those hills would be pushed back. So maybe less detail on those hills. The wooded hills left and right, very nice indeed. Lovely light hitting the harbour wall. Could go a bit darker with the harbour wall just to get that bit of contrast of the light of these boats. That boat there, it's sort of verging on. I think that boat there, it's a brilliant boat, but I think it would look better, Robbie, if it was just about there. All right, just move it in a bit more. It's on the verge of being a little bit too far, in my opinion, just a bit too far over on the left. These boats here, very good indeed. Excellent boats. Very well drawn. Yeah, little bit of splattering possibly here on the right-hand side. And the foreground, nice light. There's a lot of green here, not so much of the blue, but it's all right. I love that sky though. Yeah. Thanks, Robbie. And Robert. Nice composition. Maybe I can see with the serrated edge there of the paper, maybe the photo is taken at just a little bit of an angle, but we can see what's going on. A good composition. It's a nice bold watercolour. With the distant hills, go cooler with that green. That green a little bit too vibrant. We want to try and push it back a little bit more. So a cooler green, lighter in value. Good woods, good woods left and right. Again, try and get in some softer edges to those shadow shapes and a little bit of coolness as well. Those shadows are a little bit too, color-wise, they're a little bit too warm. I reckon it would work better with a cooler blue. Nice value of that harbour wall. These boats are very good. Very good boats. That one there's leaning a little bit too much. The waterline would look better if it was more horizontal on that boat there. But overall, good boats. The position of this boat here, I reckon it's verging on being just a little bit too close. I reckon, Robert, to that bottom right-hand corner. This might look better if it was missing altogether, or if it was moved up into that kind of position there. Move it into that area, or a little bit more to the left. But that's a superb boat there with the reflection. Yeah, very nice. Very loose style to it. Well done, Robert and Sandra. Not sure what the motions come up for. I'm not going to click on the motion button. So good composition, nice feeling of these lines here, and that boat. So that boat there, you brought it a little bit closer to us. That works. So we've got a kind of different layers of different lines of boats there. Nice composition. With the background hills, to get that depth, we'd have gone just a little bit light, but you got that cool green. It's good. Good good mixture of hard and soft edges as well. Nice light hitting the top of that harbour. Beautiful boats. These boats are excellent. And the light hitting, the contrast of the light there against the darkness of the harbour wall. Light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. Nice reflections. Again, a mixture of soft and hard edges. Very effective. Yeah, well done, Sandra. Thank you. And Saro. Nice composition. Lovely sky. We've got the depth there. Brilliant. Those background hills just perfect with that green and the coolness of the shadows. Nice trees, the woods left and right. Simple boat shapes, especially in that middle ground. It always works. They are lovely boat shapes. Really good. And then these foreground boats. Yeah, excellent as well. Nice light hitting the middle of the scene. Reflections of the sky. Again, soft edges. Lovely reflection. The reflection of that red boat is superb. It gives the very sort of serene, still-like surface to the water. Yeah, well done, Saro. And Sylvia. Nice composition. I do like the placement of your boats. I mean, that one, I'd point out that one there, is it a little bit too much on the left? Don't know, but those boats are brilliant. You haven't gone for that sort of really bright feeling to it, although we've got the brightness there. There's a lot of atmosphere with that brightness there, lights are streaming into the scene, and the depth, the sense of depth that you've got there. Very nice way that you've done those woods and the background hills. These middle ground hills, really good. These boats are superb. I would just ease off a little bit on, have you used a little bit of white paint possibly on outlining some of those? I'd just ease off a little bit on that. But those boats are brilliant. The light that you've got in the middle, expressive dry brush marks coming in from the bottom there. That's a super scene. And Tim, I think Tim's the last one. Not me, another Tim. Yeah, very nice composition. You've moved the middle ground right wood in a bit more into the scene, a little bit more than I think in the source photo, just a tiny bit more. Works really well. got the sense of depth. You haven't bothered with the detail in those background hills. That sky, that's a lovely sky. I like that blue, like a sort of, like a warmish lavender. Yeah, very effective. And the splattering as well that you've done. Lovely boats as well. Nice boats in the middle. Here also, the foreground boats, brilliant. Nice reflections. Lovely light hitting the middle area. Yeah, I like the way that you've done. Your boats are superb, Tim. Yeah, I think anyone called Tim paints good boats. Yeah, a really nice painting. So thanks very much, Tim. I think that's the last one that I've had. We've done them in alphabetical order. I hope you enjoyed, anyone watching this, seeing everyone's different take on the scene of the East Looe River. Thanks very much for all of those people that took part, and I very much look forward to seeing you on the next live workshop. Please go to my website for more information on the up-and-coming workshops and also the Patreon club that I've got going, where again we've got a monthly workshop there. Thanks for watching. Catch up with you on the next video. Bye-bye.